You're watching an indie game show production.
From the Nancy Littlefield Studios in New York, it's the Game Show Block Party.
All right, thank you for joining us here at another edition of the Game Show Block Party, a show that celebrates game shows and their fans. I am Phil, the media guy, and this guy over here sitting next to me,
I'm Art,
and
the Game Show guy.
the Game Show guy, that's right, the one and only.
And I want to know, what game show are we playing today?
Oh, Art, we're actually not going to play a game show today.
No game show?
No.
I came all the way from Brooklyn.
All right, Art.
I walked 1.47 miles from here.
Is that how far it is? But we're here actually to do a talk segment. Now remember back in the day we used to do talk segments?
That's right.
If you've been on a game show before, we're going to interview you. Write to us at the bottom of the screen. We'd love to have you come down, even play our shows, and we'll relive your experiences on the game shows.
Funny. Can I tell a funny story?
Yes, please.
But I know the person is backstage somewhere in the thing. So not to embarrass anybody, but somebody, I'm not going to name the name, but thought that I was Phil. Because the show was called Phil's Game Shows. He thought that I was Phil.
Oh, no.
Until recently, yeah, because it was Phil's Game Shows.
Look.
I have that Phil look.
But
then he met the real Phil. Will the real Phil please stand up? Oh, yeah, remember they used it like that?
Well, what a reaction from the audience. But we have great audiences. More and more people joined us. Yeah. And, we've done Blog Talk Radio for a few years. That's like podcasting and all that. Right.
With the Friday night game show block.
You remember those days?
I remember those days.
Wow.
Yeah. We met some nice people there.
Some nice people. Speaking of meeting nice people, our first guest today will be this guy right next to me, Art Kurtz.
Me?
Yeah, you're our first guest.
Come on down. I'm the next contestant.
And coming up, yes, and coming up after Art, a very, very special guest. I said we want to interview game show contestants, but what about an actual game show host?
Yeah, and I have to tell you.
Yes.
He is the one that started Blog Talk Radio.
That's right.
Before we did, he did a game show on it. And it was like, well, why don't we try that?
I know, and it took off ever since. And we've actually worked with him at What's My Line?
I've seen that. That was very good.
Great times.
It would be nice if that came back.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, on the show, J. Keith Van Straaten is here. Man, what a nice guy. He's very busy out there in Los Angeles, and he's going to take the time to talk to us.
That's nice.
Very nice of him to do that. All right, well, let's
He is very down to earth. I remember when he did his Blog Talk show.
And the funny thing is, I remember, I'll tell him when he's on the show, after the show, like we did What's My Line, we used to hang out afterwards, and we were there with a bunch of celebrities, and we were just sitting there having food, drinks, and just chilling. Not once did I think, wow, these people are famous, wow, I'm so nervous. We were just talking like we're old-time friends.
Right, you met some really big celebrities that played that, that would come by at the Bleecker Street
It was
Playhouse.
Bleecker Street, something like that in the Village.
Yeah.
It's great times, great times. All right, so you want to take a quick...
And forgot to mention, also hosted Beat the Geek. Beat the Geeks.
We'll be talking about that as soon as he's on the air, yes. If you're just joining us, we're doing a talk segment in which we interview former game show contestants. And my first guest up right now is this guy, the game show guy, the original game show guy. There's many copycats out there, but you are the game show guy. Nobody knows game shows more than this guy. And you were actually on a game show.
Yeah.
And what game show was that?
So were you. You were on Playmania.
Oh, we can talk about that for a second. Playmania.
You won. How much did you win?
$75.
Hey, maybe next time people would like to hear that. That was pretty good. What did you do with the $75?
I paid for my lunch for the whole week.
Hey, lunch is lunch.
Exactly.
Lunch is lunch.
But now we're going to, And we're going to talk to you now. You've won quite a bit on a game show. 2 game shows we're going to show today.
Wow, we're showing 2?
Yeah. Why don't we just play the clip and we'll talk about that, all right?
Okay.
Take a look.
And English teacher Art Kurtz is up next. Come on out, Art. Hey, Art. Nice to meet you.
Yes, English teacher, and I do game shows at a day camp.
So here you are. You've never been on one before?
Nope.
Well, we're glad to have you here, Art. All right, let's play Millionaire.
Okay.
For $100, Art, someone who gives away a secret is said to have let what animal out of the bag?
A cat out of the bag.
Good start. You have it for $100. See, Grasshopper, the importance of being prepared.
So I'm going to ask the audience.
Terrific. Audience, Art needs your help.
Final answer.
You got it for $1,000. Art's off to a great start. First, you are a lifelong game show junkie, and here you are finally on. And I'm pleased that you picked Millionaire. I'm thrilled.
I love Millionaire.
Well, you better say that.
great-
You're here. That's
but I mean,
right.
no, this is
very,
New York
but they're
audience.
smart. But they're smart, as
Very
you found
smart,
out in this
very
last
smart.
question. So you
Yeah,
have that.
I have to take them out for pizza after.
You heard them. All right. Art, you don't say pizza to a New York
I
audience,
know
all
that.
right, and
Yeah.
not come
Well,
through.
I'm from Brooklyn, so we have
Okay.
the best.
Okay, let's play.
Let's call Steve.
Who's Steve?
Steve's a good friend of mine who was actually in this last season.
Oh, terrific. And how did he do?
He won 16,000.
Very. I'm here with Art.
Oh, great. Hi, Art.
Hi, Steve. Life. Toned down version.
That's Madonna.
You sure, Steve?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm gonna go with Madonna. Final answer.
Steve knows his stuff. You have $2,000, Art.
Captioning sponsored by
Crazy in New York. We're so excited for this new season. For those who didn't hear me at home, I'm Meredith Vieira, and I gotta tell you, we get a lot of game show junkies trying out for Millionaire, including everybody here. This summer, we auditioned over 7,000 people in New York. But it isn't impossible to achieve this dream. Just ask our returning contestant, Art Kurtz, who has wanted this opportunity since he was a baby. Come on, Art, since you were a baby?
I was told that I was watching game shows when I was 6 months old, and one
Really?
time the story's retold again and again. Got so excited I fell out of the carriage. Really got into the game.
And look who's a big boy now. There you are. Big boy. And it only took you 42 years. And I know that you're a game show junkie and you do this in your recreational center where you work with a lot of kids.
Yes.
You're going for $4,000, just 9 questions away from $1 million, and you still have your 50-50 lifeline. And if you get to the $25,000 level, you get that question right, then we'll give you our new lifeline, switch the question.
Ready.
Audience, are you ready to play? And let's play Millionaire. Big boy, going for 4,000. 50? Okay, computer, please randomly take away 2 of the wrong answers.
I'm gonna go with Mexico. Final answer.
Have an even better time. You got it for $4,000. A memorable scene in the 1986 movie Stand By Me features what kind of contest?
You haven't lived until you go on a game show.
No. You haven't lived till you go on this game show.
Absolutely. So I think I'm going to stop with the $4,000.
Final?
Yes, I hate to say it because I love the game.
I hate to see pie eating.
Pie eating.
Good thing you quit at $4,000, Art. Congratulations. Nice guy.
Word Slam. Stage 11 competitors will test their knowledge of words in a challenge we call Word Slam. Here are our vocabulary champions from around the country. To find our 11 word masters, we traveled across America. We challenged thousands to play Word Slam, but only the best made the cut. The final stop on our Word Slam journey was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Hi, Philadelphia, how are you?
Our hidden word is sun. 14-line verse familiar to Shakespeare. Art.
Sonnet.
Sonnet is correct. E or D, but not A and E. Art.
Consonant.
Consonant is correct. Male or female, head of the corporate board. Art.
Chairperson.
Chairperson is correct. Art just won $10,000.
Winning $10,000 is fantastic, and I'm hoping to go back to school and go for my PhD. I'm still a little numb, but it's super. It's setting in.
Met on our nationwide tour, these 11 were the best vocabulary experts. Now, they will compete in the Word Slam Championship. The winner will take home a check for $25,000. Which one will it be?
The competition seems really tough. They seem like good players.
What one word precedes cat, card, fire, art?
Wild?
Wild is correct.
Wow.
Oh, wow. You know, but I didn't win that one. I'm glad you cut it off before I
Yeah. How much was the grand prize?
That I didn't win?
Yeah. Do you want to mention that? You don't have to.
35,000. Yeah, well.
Excuse me.
But I got 10,000 out of that. But that was in a 529 account, so it's there. I could take out the money. You get penalties if you don't use it for education, or I can go back to school. I did it because it was a lot of fun.
Oh, you did? All right.
It was actually, they had it. If you noticed, it says Philadelphia. That's because GSN at the time did not make us, that was Game Show Network. They didn't make a stop in New York. They weren't too heavily seen in New York at the time that was aired.
I see.
And so they canceled their New York tour, and I'm like, I'm not going. And everybody was going to Philadelphia. And if you say Game Show, I'm going to be there. They took me kicking and screaming. I was like, I ended up winning the 10,000 at the, it was at the mall, at the King of Prussia Mall. Before I knew it, they played the various word games. So that was a lot of fun. And Millionaire, of course.
Oh, of course.
I can't tell you how many bottles of tequila I get.
Oh, I bet.
But I know the thing is, I understand you were very offended I stopped. The $8,000 question was your favorite movie.
Yes. Stand By Me is my all-time favorite movie of all time.
Never seen it.
In fact, it's funny. J. Keith, friend Straaten, who's going to be on next.
It's his favorite movie, too?
No, he had Will Wheaton on his show recently.
Oh, okay.
So, Will Wheaton, if you're watching, this guy.
Sorry.
He missed your movie.
No, I stopped. I didn't miss the question.
Well, he stopped, but he would.
$4,000 is $4,000.
Lot of money.
You know?
And you would have guessed wrong. He would have guessed spitting.
I would have guessed spitting. Yeah.
You would have. Yeah. What did you do with the $4,000?
You know, I have it in a certificate of deposit.
Yes, I've seen it in his house.
Yeah, I'm still holding. I was going to buy a big screen TV, which, you know, but now they're much less than $4,000. You know, so I'm hanging on to it.
All right.
Maybe I'll buy that kind of TV that you can actually get into the picture, and suddenly I'll be on Jeopardy.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, did you see the new TVs they're coming out with?
Oh, we have a TV in the studio that's so beautiful.
They have these new curved TVs. And
speaking of which, if you won $1 million, what would you do with it?
Wow. Well, I did say, you know, when you try out for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I know you did.
I passed it once.
Well, you did pass the test.
I did, but I got sick. I couldn't do the interview. But anyway.
I heard you passed the test, and
I got that stomach ache. Next time. They're in Vegas right now, but I'll get them. Yeah.
And that might have, to Vegas. But anyway, then I said I would put a third floor. I could use a third floor in my house.
Oh, okay.
I would add like a deck, you know, like an attic.
That's a wild idea.
Yeah, it was wild. They look for those wild ideas. So that's why I'd probably do some renovations to my house.
What was it like being at the show? Did they feed you?
Oh, they do.
I bet.
Let me tell you something. First of all, you are treated like a star for the day. You have to get there at 8 in the morning. Now, Millionaire is now in
Showbiz.
But it was taped on West 67th Street at the ABC Studios. Right. And I took the train because that's not a place you take a car. There's no parking.
Oh, yeah.
So I got out. I think I got out at 6:30. I had no sleep the night before.
I
was in an altered state of consciousness.
I had no sleep before the show. You know?
And then you go in, and I remember this to this day, in line to get in with the other contestants. Two of them were talking about trivia stuff, and one said, "Gee, do you know Legally Blonde is going to be a musical or something?" And I'm like, these people know so much. I better get out of here. And as now, when you walk out at the beginning.
Yeah.
When you get that, someone pushes you out. 'Cause you're almost having, like, why am I
We
doing
should do that here. Get out there.
Why am I doing this, you know?
Yeah.
And I was afraid I was going to miss the first question.
Oh, that's what everyone's afraid of.
So afraid of that.
But these days, if you miss the first question, you still would leave with money.
No, no more.
Oh,
they changed
really?
it. Yeah,
Well,
you
I haven't
haven't
seen the
watched
show
it.
now. Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm way behind.
But they
Oh,
don't
boy.
put the zero on you now. The thing
Oh.
just folds up and you leave, but you don't get money.
And incidentally, you and I have been to the show in the audience.
Oh, wow.
Fix
So
that.
we're going to tell
And,
that?
Yeah.
Every time.
What's the question they got? And we cursed that show,
Every
so we don't go
time
back.
Phil and I are together, but every time one contestant gets a zero.
Yeah.
It's happening.
And then that big zero at the bottom there.
What was the question?
When when you had enough of it, you say that's the last blank. It's
Last stick, straw.
Something else, and I'm moving to Canada.
And
they picked
he said last stick.
last stick.
And
he
he
was
was
like, no. Man. Well, let's move on to something a little bit more
more
happier.
cheerful,
Tell
yeah.
us a little bit about you and Meredith. You guys had a chemistry on
We
screen.
did.
Didn't you have a chemistry?
No, we did. I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, and you
We
talked
did.
during the ending
And
credits.
you know, I have to
what
tell
did you guys
you,
talk about?
We talked about, well, she asked me about Steve, because my lifeline's,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
hey, Steve! And some odd $16,000
Wow.
on several. He won $78,000 on Wheel of Fortune, which I'm
Well,
like,
hopefully
hey,
we get him
Wheel.
on the show. All right, we only have a few minutes left, but go ahead.
So Steve was previously on Millionaire, and she had remembered him, and so she was asking me, you know, about Steve, and I was telling her I was so glad to get to 1,000, and she goes, yeah, because she's seen grown men cry.
Oh.
You know, so that's what we were talking about over the closing credits.
Oh, wow.
And she was really nice. And we talk about how the audition process for game shows it's kind of difficult. There are people that
we prepare them to be on game shows.
You know, we actually
being on our
do.
show really gives them that feel in front of the cameras and the lights.
You come down, if you come down to homecoming at Kingsborough Community College, you'll play our game show.
Absolutely. Well, that was great. I was very excited to see you on the show. And how did it feel to relive those moments?
Oh, it's always fun watching it. It's always fun watching it.
Wow. So we hope to see you on
I was screaming at myself for using a 50-50 on that tequila.
Yeah, but I bet you're nervous. I mean, you're on the hot seat. You got those
really
lights
are.
on you.
You
those
really are.
people
I
watching.
couldn't feel my legs.
Oh, boy. We'll be right back for another guest, so don't go anywhere. Watch.
I'm staying right here.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Game Show Block Party. And if you're just joining us, we interviewed Art about his Millionaire and Word Slam appearances. But now we have an actual game show host with us right now. Well, let me see what we have here. Joining us today from Los Angeles, California, he is he's an actor, he's a host, he's done blogging, he travels, he does all sorts of... What doesn't he do? He's an all-time great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, right here on Skype, J. Keith Van Straaten, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Oh,
J.
thank
Keith,
you.
Thank
what
you
a tremendous
so
round
much.
of applause. Thank you.
Well, you love this applause, right? I mean, you live for it.
It ended a little quickly, I'm not going to lie. It ended kind of abruptly. I thought it would sort of
Okay.
gradually fade out, but what are you going to do?
All right, so as I mentioned before, J. Keith, you've done a number of things in entertainment besides hosting game shows. What were some of your favorite appearances on television and perhaps theater?
Let's see. My favorite appearances were, I mean, I love doing live shows. That's kind of been my thing, is taking sort of television-style formats and doing them in a theater. So for a long time, I did a talk show, and then I did a live version of What's My Line, which would probably appeal to your crowd.
Yeah,
and then I did a live on-stage matchmaking show.
Going back to the beginning, what made you want to go into showbiz?
I guess I liked it. I don't, I grew up in Chicago, and I didn't have an understanding of what show business was, or that I watched a lot of TV and I watched a lot of game shows, and I loved seeing game shows that were recorded at Television City. That sounded like a wonderful, magical place that I would like to visit someday. And it turned out when I was in high school, the family moved to LA. I was just always more into comedy and performing, and everything as far as segueing that into show business was kind of an accident. It was, if you perform enough, eventually someone says, oh, you ought to get headshots, or you ought to get an agent, or you ought to try to do commercials, or all that. So everything was just kind of organically came from there, except hosting. Hosting was the first thing where I actually sat down and tried to decide what is it that I want to do, because I'd done improv, which is the background for everything that I've done, and sketch comedy and stand up, and I wanted to find a way to sort of integrate that and do something special with it. And so I literally just made a list of what are the things that I like to do and what are the things that I think I'm pretty good at, and I realized that hosting would allow me to do those things, and so that's how I started. I just rented a theater and started doing a talk show.
Oh, wow.
And that led to getting an agent for hosting, and then being able to audition and do game shows.
Most people don't know this, but there's a lot of hard work that goes into production. Tell us a little bit about how you prepare. Like, what do you do during pre-production?
The Go Factor Yourself show, we record it before a live audience, and I would say the recording is maybe, I don't know, an hour and a half or so, and it gets edited down to maybe about 50 minutes. But the amount of hours that go into that hour and a half that then go into that 50 minutes are dozens of hours. It's booking guests. Our format is that we ask trivia questions of a guest about a topic that they like, and then we bring on an actual expert in that topic. So a lot of it is booking the guest, and then we have to find the topic, and then we have to find the expert for the topic, and then we have to write the quiz, and then we have to do a rehearsal. It's a lot.
Wow.
It's funny because of all the different game shows that I've hosted, that I've produced myself over the years, this one actually has maybe the least amount of work, but it's still a lot right before, in the week leading up to it. When I was doing What's My Line, I had to book, 4 notable panelists. I had to get a celebrity mystery guest every week. I had to get, I think it was usually 3 people with interesting jobs, and then, as well as the promotion and, the marketing and all that kind of stuff. And then sometimes that would involve, video clips or writing ads if we were lucky to have a sponsor that week, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot.
It's a lot. Wow.
And then, and then nowadays with social media aspect, you gotta figure and all that kind of thing. I did Beat the Geeks on Comedy Central a million years ago. There wasn't as much preparing that I would have to do, but once you're bringing something to TV, you're talking another hundreds of people of writers and researchers and producers and craft service and there's pre-production and then all the post-production and all that. So a lot goes into a showbiz show, especially if it's something that's well produced. Right now I'm writing on the show Funny You Should Ask, the comedy game show, and it's a half-hour show, and there's a team of, I think it's maybe 18 writers, and that's just the writers to write jokes, as well as again the PAs and the producers and the people who've got to book the contestants and book the celebrities and sell the show and all that kind of stuff. So once something moves to TV, you're just a very small cog, whereas producing a live show or this live show that I'm doing as a podcast, it's mostly me and my friend and partner Jim Newman, getting the actual show together, and then we hand it off to people who actually do the editing and podcast part of it, which I have no idea how that works.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot. When we do our shows, we think there's a lot going on. But moving to the next question, I want to talk to you about hosting, J. Keith. So Art and I have been hosting game shows for a number of years. We inspire a lot of copycats. Now, my biggest pet peeve is when you host a show, they make it all about them, them, them. A good game show host is when they make it about the contestants. I mean, don't you agree? The contestants are the stars. Now, what do you think about my assessment? What's your philosophy on hosting?
Yeah, generally, I'm usually thinking about it from a producing perspective, especially if it's my own show. I'm trying, and especially if it's before a live audience where we're counting on audience reaction, and I'm aware of everything else that has to happen later in the show, and I'm aware of the time constraints and all that. So a lot of my job, I feel, is sort of directing traffic and moving it along. But you definitely want to take care of people. The Go Fact Yourself show, we've got celebrities, and we've got, for lack of a better word, civilians, like regular people. Everybody's showing up for free. So you want to be respectful of people's time, and you also want to be respectful that a lot of people who we have on both this show and previous shows that I've done are not accustomed necessarily to appearing on stage or appearing in front of people or speaking into a microphone. You want to have a little ego as far as, if I have something to bring to the party to make it entertaining or make it fun, I certainly want to speak up. The best hosts, whether it's for game shows or anything else, realize that if the audience is entertained, that's a win for you. It doesn't matter if it happens from you or from your guest or contestant or whatnot. That was definitely sort of something that Johnny Carson was especially good at. One of his philosophies is that he realized that if a guest gets a laugh, people are going to remember that the Johnny Carson show got the laugh. They're not going to remember necessarily that guest got the laugh. And so I try to kind of keep that philosophy as well.
Wow, that's an excellent point.
Good, yeah.
Wow. Well, all right, so what is your advice if somebody wants to get into that sort of business, like hosting or showbiz? What's your advice for someone just coming out of school or whatever,
It's so different now. You know, when I was starting out, you know, there wasn't YouTube and there wasn't social media and there weren't people who became stars from, you know, Snapchat. And there's just so many other outlets. There wasn't HQ, you know, all these things where we see great hosts nowadays. So the similar thing is that you don't have to wait for somebody else to hire you. If you can get some friends together, you can, you know, I would say the biggest advice is become a producer. Don't just be a host.
Or do a public access
you know,
show.
come up with you know, come up with a format. Do what you guys are doing. Get something out there, because the biggest thing I've learned from one of the biggest things I've learned from show business is that producers, people who are in a position to give you money, have no imagination, and even more so now. So you can't just describe, here's what I think the show would be, and we should do this and this. They need to see what they need to see what it is and feel what it is. You know, you can just put up an iPhone and edit it together yourself and make a show. Mm-hmm. So I would say the most important thing is don't wait. You know, do what you can to do the best quality version of what you imagine, so you can show people what it is.
From our part, we when you were in New York doing What's My Line, we thoroughly enjoyed we saw many of them.
Thanks.
Very professionally done.
The New York audiences are so great.
J. Keith, you already spoke about What's My Line? Go Fact Yourself. You host Go Fact Yourself with Helen Hong. Funny Helen Hong, I must add. If you listen to the show, you get that inside joke. So tell us a little bit about Go Fact Yourself. Incidentally, I know you have a taping tomorrow after we're taping this show. So tell us just a little bit about the show in a nutshell.
Out of the show is we get 2 celebrity contestants. Before the show, they tell us 3 topics that they know a lot about that are outside their field of work. We pick one of them. We write them a custom quiz about that topic, and then we bring on an actual expert in that topic to come on and answer the questions and, you know, geek out with them. So it's really about sort of a celebration of knowledge and what people love. So it also works for, you know, if you're a fan of trivia, if you're a fan of game shows, there's a great play-along element. And it's released as a podcast on the Maximum Fun Network twice a month, the first and third Friday of the month. You can get it wherever you get podcasts. We tape them all before a live audience. If you're going to be in the LA area, you can come see a live taping for free. Our website is gofactyourpod.com, and it's been great. We've been very fortunate. We've had great guests. I'm trying to think of other people from the game show world. I know we've mentioned Tom Bergeron. Let's see, like Jimmy Pardo we've had, and then folks like Fred Willard and Leah Thompson and Pete Holmes.
It's a great show. Really quick.
And as you mentioned, Helen Hong is my co-host, and a lot of people might know her from Wait, Don't Tell Me, another great audio game show. Really quick, Art was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and he quit on this question about Stand By Me. You just had Will Wheaton on your show. So tell Will Wheaton, this guy. Seriously, it was actually fun. It was our first sort of theme show we had. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I missed that. I missed seeing that movie, and
it's my favorite of all time.
Yeah, you never know what can come up in the future.
That's true. That is true.
You never know.
You never know. Do you have any more final questions for J. Keith?
Oh, I have a lot of questions, but I don't think we have enough time. But it was
next time.
Bring it on. Speed round, lightning round.
We love to have you here at the studio. Well, I'm not going to press my luck, but hey, come down, host one of our shows. We'd love to have you.
When you're out this way,
sounds good.
We'll certainly be there.
We'll be there. All right, J. Keith, we got to go. We got to wrap it up. But again, thank you a million times. I owe you one. Thank you for coming down. Everybody, J. Keith and Straaten, let's hear it for him. Woo!
Hey, bye, everybody.
All right, guys, the information for J. Keith's show is at the bottom of the screen. Go check it out. Check us out at thegameshowblockparty.weebly.com.
That's right.
Email us. Like us on Facebook, because if you like us,
we'll like you too.
Yes. Also, the Game Show Block Party on YouTube.com, and look for that there. Email us at thegameshowblockparty@email.com. If you want to come down and be on one of our shows or interview you, if you've been on the game show before, we'd love to have you come down. I am Phil, the media guy.
I'm Art, the game show guy.
Thank you for watching. Good night.